Hi there everyone, Jeff here. I was just over in Tombstone, Arizona a couple weeks ago or so and walked around, took some video and some pictures and come to share them with you. So let's get started. Tombstone was founded in 1877 by Ed Schifflin. Ed was staying at Camp Huacachuca as part of a scouting expedition against the Chiricahua Apaches. During his time there, he would venture out into the wilderness looking for rocks, all the while ignoring the warnings about the native Apaches he received from the soldiers at the camp. They would tell him, "Ed, the only stone you will find out there will be your tombstone." Ed did find his stones. It was silver. So remembering the warnings from the soldiers at the camp and using his sly sense of humor, he named his first mine the Tombstone. In 1881, Tombstone's population was around 4,000 to 5,000. This figure only counted the white male registered voters that were over 21. If you count the women, children, Chinese, Mexicans, and the many ladies of the night, the population could have been between 15 and 20,000. It was more likely the population was closer to 9,000. It was said to have been the fastest growing city between St. Louis and San Francisco. There were over 100 saloons, restaurants, a large red light district, a large Chinese population, schools, churches, newspapers. There were a few theaters in town, the most famous of them being Schifflin Hall and the Birdcage Theater. Schifflin Hall was where the respectable people in town went for entertainment. It opened in June 1881 and was built for the people of Tombstone by Ed Schifflin's brother Al. It was built to be used as a theater, recital hall, and meeting place for the Tombstone citizens. Wyatt and Morgan Earp attended a performance there that evening. Morgan was killed. It is still used by city government and civic groups today. There were two major fires during the 1880s. Legend says that in June 1881, a cigar ignited a barrel of whiskey at the Arcade Saloon. The fire destroyed over 60 businesses in the downtown area. In May 1882, another fire ripped through downtown Tombstone, destroying a large portion of the business district. After each fire, the town was rebuilt. Tombstone is also the home of the Boothill graveyard. Boothill began in 1879 and was used until 1884, when the new Tombstone City Cemetery was opened. Legend has it that Boothill was named for the fact that many residents there died violent or unexpected deaths and were buried with their boots on. It was actually named Boothill after Dodge City's Pioneer Cemetery. The most famous event in Tombstone, Arizona's history was a famous gunfight at OK Corral, which didn't actually happen at the corral, but in a vacant lot on Fremont Street. In many people's opinion, this is why Tombstone has been kept alive for all these years. As the silver mining continued, the mine shafts were dug deeper and deeper to get the ore. When they hit the 520-foot level, the water table was reached, which flooded the mines. Attempts to pump out the water marginally worked for a few years, but soon became too costly. As the mining slowed down, the people of Tombstone started leaving. but not before $37 million worth of ore had been taken from the many mines. It is estimated that by the early 1930s, Tombstone's population dwindled to around 150 people. Today, Tombstone is home to around 150 people year-round. Boothill, as I said earlier, was opened in 1878. Here I have a few pictures of some of the tombstones or headstones of some of the people buried here. Billy Clanton, Tom McClary, Frank McClary, murdered on the streets of Tombstone in 1881. Tragic results of the OK Corral battle, which took place between the Earp brothers with Doc Holliday and the Cowboys. 3 men were killed and 3 men were wounded. John Heath, taken from county jail and lynched by a Bisbee mob, February 22, 1884. He was called the leader of the 5 men who were legally hanged and was said to have planned the robbery. He was hung from a telegraph pole a short distance west of the courthouse. George Johnson, hanged by mistake. This is one of my favorites. Johnson innocently bought a stolen horse and suffered the consequences. His tombstone says, because it's hard to see, "Here lies George Johnson, hanged by mistake 1882. He was right, we was wrong, but we strung him up, and now he's gone." Gotta love it. Joseph Ziegler, murdered 1882. Ziegler was aged 27, was shot one night through the left breast and lived only a few minutes. He and Ed Williams, who shot him, were miners and had been arguing while working that day. The murder took place behind the old ice house near the corner of Toughnut and 5th Street. Seymour Dye and Harry Curry, killed in 1882, were woodcutters. This day they were bringing in a load of hay when they were shot by Indians. Miles Sweeney, murdered 1880. Three-Fingered Jack Dunlap, shot by Jeff Milton. Dunlap, one of a brand of train robbers attempting to rob an express car which Milton guarded. He was critically wounded and his friends left him to die. He was found and brought to Tombstone, where he lived long enough to inform on his friends. Stinging Lizard, shot by Cherokee Hall. Marshal Fred White, shot by Curly Bill in 1880. He was accidentally shot as he started to take Curly Bill's gun. John Swain Slaughter, 1945. Old John was nearly 100 years old when he died. He came here in 1879 with the John Slaughter family and spent his life in and around Tombstone. 2 Chinese died of leprosy. The Brady Brothers, 1883. These 2 boys were drowned while swimming in the San Pedro River. One died in a vain attempt to save his brother. Ages 11 and 12. So sad. The entrance to Boothill. You must go through this little shack, and believe it or not, it's only $3. Well, there's my little history of Tombstone and Boothill. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you later. Bye now.